100. This is the smart move in my book. 800-686-2237. Ted, thanks.
Yeah, thanks for having me up again, Alex.
You bet. Okay, there goes Ted Anderson. Now, Paul Watson's coming up in about 5 minutes. I'm going to have them both on together because they're both reporting separately on some of the same scientists, but then on other scientists. There's British, Australian, U.S., Canadian, top virologists, tops of their field, saying, oh, clearly this is a manufactured virus. Well, they know that other scientists are now looking at the virus saying the same thing. So it's the top guys we can trust from the establishment are saying, oh, it probably escaped accidentally out of a vaccine lab. Yes, that's how in the wrong season, in the wrong hemisphere, it appears in Mexico. Now, if you believe that, I got a bridge I want to sell you. See, they're now admitting it's a manufactured virus, even though I got attacked by Newsweek and CNN for saying that. Oh, PrisonPlanet.com and the nutcase Alex Jones, believes it's manufactured. Never linking to all the documents we posted because, again, I've interviewed enough virologists to know it didn't have the pedigree of something that mutated each year into this. It was 4 different viruses, pig, human, and bird, all mixed together. And it had no history, no pedigree, no mutation history. It had to come out of a lab. It had all the markers as some type of beta test or tracker. And they're now saying, I said, now, folks, this may not be the big one, even though they're saying it, but they may say it's going to be a mutation to combine with something new in the fall. Then they came out and said that. I know the enemy. I know the enemy. Now, the new spin is, okay, it's manufactured, but it accidentally got out of a lab and showed up all over the place in Mexico and the world and went viral in the wrong hemisphere, wrong time of year. This is absolute bull. Okay, so they're now going, okay, it's manufactured, because we know independent scientists and virologists are going to look at it under electron microscopes. Okay, it's manufactured. It's got our serial numbers on it. No big deal. It's like Blade Runner. Who made this scale? Is it fish? No, Mr. Decker. This snake. Highest quality Chung Pao Laboratories. Same deal. Same deal here. And I just know the enemy. Let's go to Kurt Nimmo. Kurt, you've written articles. Paul Watson's written articles. Break this down for us.
Well, Bloomberg's reporting this scientist in Australia, his name's Adrian Gibbs, who incidentally collaborated on Tamiflu research, is saying that the H1N1 was accidentally created in a laboratory, while they were manufacturing or developing a vaccine, and that it escaped the laboratory. This is the common thread you hear all the time about these viruses. They just incidentally escaped. He also said that it's possible that it's naturally occurring, which is total bunk. We know that.
But there are other scientists in England and others. You guys wrote stories a week ago with other scientists saying it's clearly manufactured. So
yeah.
Why are they, do you think, coming out and doing this? Because they know that other scientists who aren't part of the New World Order are going to bring this info out, so they want to bring it out first, put their spin on it?
Yeah, I think this is a cover story because, for instance, as Wayne Madsen reported when the so-called swine flu thing was going big, that a top scientist at the United Nations said that he was a researcher on the outbreak of Ebola in Africa and AIDS, that this was a manufactured pathogen, not naturally occurring. So it's all over the media. People are saying that this is, a bioengineered weapon, and so this is a cover story, so they can cover their butts,
But I don't think we're going to see a MSNBC retraction when they attacked us and said that we said it was manufactured and that meant we were racist.
No.
And they didn't even, when the MSNBC or CNN, describe how it's racist to say it's bioweapon. You'll say, hey, I don't like cloudy, rainy days. And they say, oh, you don't like black people.
Well, the point is that a lot of people aren't getting their news from MSNBC and the corporate media. They're going to the Internet. They're going to Infowars.com and Prison Planet to get their information. So these guys realize, of course, that a large number of people are reading the truth. So they got to devise a cover story for this.
Yeah, that's right. The Alex Jones channel that a volunteer had up under full authorization from us had over 2 million hits that week, but it was getting about 1 million views a week before that and really starting to become one of the biggest channels out there, no doubt one of the biggest political. And just on that channel, there was 220,000 views, 150,000 views, 80,000 views, 100, just dozens and dozens of videos, over 100,000 views. And it was all about the bird flu. And if you went to all the different video aggregating sites, we were the top everywhere, with what I had to say about this and how it was manufactured. And I've noticed all the sites they're shutting down, it's sites that have posted my videos about the bird flu. So we said something in those rants, Kurt, that really freaked the establishment out. And now we're finding out we hit the nail directly on the head, Kurt.
Absolutely, absolutely. So I think they're coming up with this cover story to, down the road say, well, this was another mutation that escaped from the laboratory, another Frankenstein-type scenario. But it's not going to wash. It's just not going to work.
Okay, well, let's just believe that. They accidentally released foot and mouth weaponized, and it showed up in over 40 locations. It was even more than that. It was 60-something locations. We can pull up the articles. In 2001, weaponized, magically pops up everywhere at once, had to be planted. Weaponized, we say it's weaponized. Later they say, oh, yeah, it accidentally got released from our lab, but we're now going to take total control of the country. And then they accidentally released the horse flu that can also kill humans in Australia last year, and they always accidentally release it. Okay, let's say they're accidentally doing this. They're a bunch of knuckle-dragging buffoons at level 3 and level 4 bioweapons labs that just magically accidentally spread this everywhere, even out of season, it's spreading. And then why are we allowing these people to be toilet attendants, much less run bioweapons labs or bioweapons treatment labs? And the larger issue here is obviously they're staging it. Obviously, that's not the case, and they're building 36 level 4 bioweapons lab, moving them from the desert and the Atlantic Ocean, Plum Island, to places like San Antonio, Texas, and Galveston, Texas. And then you go Google the names of the scientists that are running these new labs, and they all just so happen to be 12 monkeys type eugenicists who write white papers about how they want to kill us. I mean, can we put 2 and 2 together here, Kurt?
Yeah, and as well, part of this Bloomberg article was they floated the suggestion that there should be some kind of international regulatory commission or something, or an agency that oversees these biomedical labs. Incidentally, during the whole thing with the so-called swine flu, there was a report about virus samples that went missing at Fort Detrick. That thing was on the radar screen for about a nanosecond and then disappeared. So, they're losing this stuff right and left. Losing is, in quotation marks.
Kind of like they lost the weaponized anthrax they mailed out to all their enemies. It was an accident and it fell into the letters.
Right. That was the Bruce Edwards Irons case, the microbiologist who just happened to die after the Department of Justice and the FBI kind of pointed a finger at him.
And it was buried in the news. You had to read literally scores of articles to find. He said, the government's setting me up. They said, you're mentally ill.
Right.
Took him to a facility, and then in a locked-up cell, he ate a bunch of Tylenol, prescription Tylenol, and died. And then they hid that in the news.
Right.
By the way, I saw a story yesterday where the guy supposedly killed his family, shot himself, and then buried himself, and the police with a straight face, Kurt, are saying he buried himself.
Real wonderful.
I mean, pretty soon, they might guillotine me on national TV and say I did it.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the level of... Go ahead.
I was going to say, it's interesting that, another story you don't hear a whole lot about is all these microbiologists that are just, disappearing. That as well figures into this whole scheme.
Well, Kurt, when you realize that eugenicists run all the Western governments, that the Human Genome Project is publicly run at the Eugenics Center at Cold Springs Harbor with IBM, Thomas Watson, the top Nazi, who pledged his fortune to carry out eugenics when he died in the 50s. And then you find out Google gives almost all its money to eugenics. Quote, helping the black people in Africa is the headline. You find out that Microsoft gives all its money to this. And you find out Warren Buffett gives